The Zephyrian High Command had spent 3 standard cycles preparing for what they considered the most straightforward conquest in their empire's history. According to their intelligence networks, the third planet orbiting the yellow star they designated as Target 7 housed a primitive species that had barely achieved interplanetary travel. Their weapons were crude projectile-based systems, their ships relied on chemical propulsion, and their society was fragmented into competing nation-states. It should have been effortless. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of the flagship, Domination's Edge, watching through the viewports as his invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace above the blue-green world. 2,000 ships, each bristling with plasma cannons and quantum disruptors, arranged in perfect formation. The humans would surrender within hours, if they possessed any intelligence at all. Open a communication channel to the planet's surface, Kethvar commanded, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Let us offer them the standard terms. The holographic display flickered to life, showing what appeared to be a primitive human military installation. A middle-aged human male in a simple uniform appeared, his expression remarkably calm for someone facing obliteration. "This is Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien commander began, his universal translator rendering his words into the local language. "Your world is now under our dominion. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and we will make examples of your cities." The human studied him for a long moment, then did something unexpected. He smiled. "Well, Admiral," the human said, leaning back in his chair, "I'm General Marcus Chen, Earth Defense Force. And I've got to thank you folks for showing up today. We were starting to run out of practice targets." Kethvar's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. "Practice targets? You do not comprehend your situation, primitive. We possess weapons that can—" Yeah, Chen interrupted with a wave of his hand. "Look, Admiral, let me explain something. See, us humans have been fighting wars for about 10,000 years. We've gotten pretty good at it. And about 200 years ago, we figured out that the best way to stay sharp between the big conflicts was to practice on whoever was dumb enough to show up uninvited." The general turned to someone off-screen. "Johnson, are the orbital platforms online?" "All systems green, sir. Mars Defense Grid is standing by. Luna Base reports ready to fire." "Outstanding." Chen turned back to the screen. "Admiral, you've just flown into what we like to call a shooting gallery. Your ships are positioned exactly where we want them." Kethvar's confidence wavered. His tactical officer approached with a datapad, mandibles clicking nervously. "Sir, our sensors are detecting massive energy signatures throughout this system. The third planet's moon appears to be artificial, and there are structures on the 4th planet that weren't in our intelligence reports." "Impossible," Kethvar hissed. "Our scouts reported a primitive civilization barely capable of—" His words were cut off as space around his fleet suddenly blazed with light. Streams of coherent energy erupted from hidden installations on the planet's surface, from its moon, and from what he now realized was a heavily fortified Mars. But these weren't the crude weapons his intelligence had described. These were focused particle beams that cut through his ship's shields like they were paper. "You see, Admiral," Chen continued conversationally as Zephyrian vessels began exploding in brilliant fireballs. "We learned something important about first impressions during our first contact with the Altarian Collective about 50 years ago. They judged us by our oldest, most primitive tech, too. Big mistake on their part." Kethvar watched in horror as his formation disintegrated. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were being systematically destroyed by weapons that should not have existed. His tactical display showed impossible readings. The humans weren't just using energy weapons, but some kind of gravitational manipulation technology that was literally tearing his vessels apart at the molecular level. "How?" he whispered. "Well, turns out humans are really good at 2 things, Chen explained. Making friends and making weapons. When the Altarians attacked us, we made friends with everyone they'd ever conquered. Turns out, conquered species are more than happy to share their technology with anyone willing to fight their former oppressors." The general gestured to the tactical display behind him, which showed the systematic destruction of the Zephyrian fleet. "That quantum disruptor tech you're so proud of? We got that from the Kepler-7 refugees. Those plasma cannons? The Andromedans taught us how to build better ones. Hell, half our orbital defense grid is based on Altarian designs. Ironic, isn't it? Kethvar's ship shuddered as something impacted his shields. His engineering officer reported that whatever had hit them was now boring through their hull plating like it was made of soft metal. Nanobotic mining charges, Chen said helpfully. Another gift from our friends in the Centauri system. They'll reach your reactor core in about 30 seconds. Wait, Kethvar shouted. I surrender. My fleet surrenders. Chen shook his head. Sorry, Admiral, but that's not how this works. See, we've learned that the best way to discourage future invasions is to make sure word gets back to potential aggressors about what happens when you mess with Earth. Can't do that if we don't leave any survivors. But some must survive to carry the message. Oh, don't worry about that, Chen grinned. We're broadcasting this whole thing on 47 different interstellar frequencies. Everyone in a 50 light-year radius is getting a real-time demonstration of what happens when you mistake human hospitality for weakness. The last thing Admiral Kethvar saw before his flagship's reactor core breached was General Chen turning to his staff and saying, "All right, people, excellent work. Target practice is complete. Let's get the cleanup crews out there and see if any of this wreckage is worth salvaging. And someone send a thank you note to our Altarian friends. Their intelligence network is getting better and better." Across the galaxy, dozens of species that had been planning their own easy conquest of the primitive human world quietly canceled their invasion fleets and sent diplomatic envoys instead. After all, it never paid to mistake a shooting range for a helpless target.